Deep within the Kuiper Belt, humanity's furthest early warning station detected the anomaly. The massive vessel materialized in a burst of exotic particles, its hull bearing the scars of recent combat. Dr. Sarah Chen, lead researcher at Neptune Outpost 7, watched her instruments light up with readings that defied conventional physics. "Control, this is No. 7. She transmitted back to Earth. "We have an unknown contact. Mass reading suggests it's larger than anything humanity has ever constructed. And sir, it's bleeding radiation like a wounded animal." The response from Earth Defense Command was immediate. "Hold position. First Contact Protocol Echo 9 is now in effect." Sarah knew what that meant. Humanity's carefully constructed facade of technological limitation was about to be tested. For decades, Earth had maintained the appearance of a struggling spacefaring civilization, all while preparing for moments exactly like this. The alien vessel's distress beacon pulsed with a pattern that spoke of deliberate design. As Sarah studied the transmission, she noticed something odd. The signal contained embedded quantum signatures that shouldn't have been detectable by the primitive equipment Earth was supposed to possess. Admiral James Chen, Sarah's father and commander of Earth's hidden fleet, materialized on her holoscreen. His expression was grim. "They're testing us, Sarah. The question is, are they testing our capabilities or our compassion? The radiation patterns suggest genuine damage, Dad. Whatever hit them, it hit them hard." The alien ship drifted closer, and now Sarah could see the true extent of the damage. Massive sections of its biomechanical hull had been sheared away, revealing internal structures that pulsed with failing containment fields. If they didn't receive help soon, the ship would suffer a catastrophic breakdown. "Permission to reveal capability level 2. Sarah asked, knowing the implications. Earth had carefully categorized its true technological achievements into levels, each more advanced than the last. Level 2 would show they were more capable than they appeared, while still hiding their true strength. Admiral Chen's response was interrupted by a new signal from the alien vessel, this one broadcast on frequencies that humanity wasn't supposed to know existed. The message was clear. "To the Guardians who watch from the darkness, we know you're there. We know you're hiding. And we need your help." Sarah exchanged looks with her father. Decades of preparation, of careful misdirection, balanced against the lives aboard that dying ship. The Admiral's next words would determine whether humanity maintained its cover or revealed its first glimpse of true power. "Show them," he commanded. "Capability level 2. Let's see how they react." Sarah's fingers danced across controls that had remained hidden behind false panels. The outpost's outer shell shimmered and transformed, revealing its true nature. Quantum-locked tractor beams reached out to stabilize the alien vessel, while advanced medical pods were prepped for potential survivors. The alien ship's response was immediate, a transmission that contained not fear or surprise, but desperate relief. "Thank the ancestors," the message read. "We were right about you. Earth isn't primitive at all. You're like us, the hidden ones, the watchers, and now you may be our last hope." As medical teams prepared to board the alien vessel, Sarah detected a data burst hidden within the alien transmission. What she found chilled her to her core. Star charts showing system after system going dark. Footage of massive mechanical entities consuming entire worlds. And at the edge of known space, a wave of destruction approaching like an unstoppable tide. "Dad," she called, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "I think I know why they came to us specifically. These readings, the events they're documenting, they're identical to the threat profile Grandma Chen predicted 50 years ago. The one that made us start hiding our true capabilities in the first place." Admiral Chen's expression hardened. "The harvesters. So they're real." The alien vessel's captain was finally stabilized enough to communicate directly. Its crystalline form shimmered with weakening bioluminescence as it spoke through the translator. "We came to you because we detected something unique about Earth, energy signatures that suggested capabilities beyond conventional physics. Our civilization, like yours, has hidden our true strength for millennia. But now hiding is no longer an option. Sarah watched as more data flowed through their quantum channels, the full extent of the threat they faced. The harvesters weren't just machines. They were living mathematical equations given form, consuming civilizations to fuel their endless calculations. They adapted to any defense, predicted any strategy, and corrupted any technology they encountered. Any conventional technology, that is. Show them, Admiral Chen commanded. Show them why Earth has remained hidden for so long. Show them capability level 3. Sarah's hands trembled slightly as she activated protocols that had never been used outside of testing. The space around Neptune Outpost 7 twisted as reality itself seemed to bend. Hidden quantum processors activated, tapping into principles of physics that humanity had discovered by accident. Principles that no other civilization had found because they followed more logical paths of development. The alien captain's crystalline form pulsed with amazement as it witnessed humanity's true capabilities. "Impossible," it whispered. "You've mastered quantum field manipulation at the macro scale. But how? Why?" Admiral Chen's response was simple: "Because we never assumed anything was impossible. Earth's greatest strength isn't our technology. It's our refusal to accept limitations. And now, it seems, that strength will be needed more than ever." As Sarah initiated first contact protocols, she couldn't help but smile at the irony. Humanity had hidden its achievements out of fear of advanced alien civilizations. Now those same civilizations were turning to Earth as their last hope. The facade of primitiveness had protected them, allowed them to develop in ways no one expected. The time for hiding was over. The harvesters were coming, and they would learn what humanity had known all along. Sometimes the most dangerous predator is the one that chooses to appear harmless until the perfect moment to strike. The alien delegation stood in stunned silence as the massive blast doors parted beneath the Antarctic ice. Captain Zixtal, their crystalline leader, watched through composite eyes as a vertical shaft descended seemingly without end into Earth's crust. The truth about humanity's technological advancement was unfolding before them, and it was far beyond anything they had imagined. Admiral Chen led the group into a quantum elevator, a device that manipulated space-time to transport them instantly to the facility's core. "Welcome to Project Aegis," he announced as they emerged into a vast underground chamber. "What you're about to see has remained hidden from both our own population and any watching eyes among the stars." The chamber stretched for kilometers, filled with technology that defied conventional understanding. Massive ships hung suspended in quantum cradles, their designs unlike anything the aliens had ever encountered. They weren't sleek or geometrically perfect like most advanced civilizations' vessels. Instead, they seemed to follow patterns that almost hurt to look at. "Your ships," Zixtal observed, crystal fragments shifting in what Sarah recognized as confusion. "They appear incomplete, as if parts are missing or existing in other dimensions," Sarah finished. "Exactly. We discovered early in our development that conventional three-dimensional space was just one layer of reality. Our ships don't just travel through space, they exist partially outside of it." The alien captain's crystalline form pulsed with realization. "That's why the harvester's predictive algorithms fail when they encounter your energy signatures. They're trying to calculate the movements of objects that aren't fully present in calculable space." Admiral Chen nodded as they moved deeper into the facility. "Humanity's greatest advantage has always been our ability to think beyond conventional limitations. When we first detected possible alien observation of Earth, we didn't just hide our advances, we developed them in ways no one would expect to look for. They passed through sections showcasing humanity's true military might. Quantum phase shields that didn't just absorb or deflect energy, but redirected it through dimensional barriers. Weapons that didn't fire projectiles or energy beams, but instead temporarily altered the fundamental constants of physics in localized areas. Our scientists were considered mad when they first proposed these theories. Sarah explained, watching their visitors' reactions carefully. No one believed you could weaponize uncertainty itself, or build engines that ran on probability manipulation. But we did it because we never assumed it was impossible. Your species, the alien captain said slowly, has been preparing for war on a scale we never imagined. But why? What made you go to such extremes? Admiral Chen's expression grew solemn. 50 years ago, my mother, Sarah's grandmother, developed a predictive model for civilizational threats. Unlike conventional models that looked for technological or biological dangers, she focused on mathematical inevitabilities. She predicted that the universe would eventually produce entities that operated on pure logic, devoid of creativity or chaos. The harvesters. Sarah pulled up the original calculations, showing how her grandmother had predicted not just the harvesters' existence, but their fundamental weakness. Perfect logic can be defeated by perfect illogic, she explained. So we developed technology that operates on principles that can't be predicted because they're not entirely real by conventional definitions. The facility's main control room revealed humanity's masterstroke, the Chaos Engine, a massive quantum computer that didn't process information in binary or even quantum bits, but in states of mathematical uncertainty. It could generate battle strategies that looked like random noise until the moment they crystallized into devastating effectiveness. We're not just fighting the harvesters, Admiral Chen declared. We're going to show them why making everything perfectly predictable is the biggest weakness of all. Humanity's strength lies in our embracing of chaos, our ability to act in ways that no logical system can anticipate. Zixtal's crystalline form resonated with something Sarah recognized as hope. Your hidden strength. It's not just your technology, is it? It's your thinking. Your species doesn't just use chaos. You understand it in ways we never considered. Precisely, Sarah confirmed. Every alien civilization we've detected follows logical progression in their development. You build on proven concepts, advance along predictable lines. Humanity. We threw out the rulebook. We pursued technologies that shouldn't work, strategies that seem insane until the moment they succeed. Admiral Chen led them to a final chamber, where a massive hologram showed the approaching harvester fleet. Now it's time to show the galaxy why sometimes the most advanced civilization isn't the one with the most logical technology. It's the one that never stopped dreaming up new ways to do the impossible. The alien delegation watched as humanity's hidden fleet began powering up, ships phasing between dimensions as they prepared for war. They had come to Earth expecting to find hidden technology. Instead, they found something far more valuable, a species that had turned unpredictability itself into their greatest weapon. The vast emptiness of space beyond Jupiter's orbit erupted with activity as humanity's hidden fleet emerged from their dimensional pockets. Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the flagship Quantum Tide, watching as ships that defied conventional physics took up formation around them. The Harvester Vanguard was approaching, and humanity was about to reveal its full capabilities. Battle groups report ready, she announced, glancing at her father. Admiral Chen nodded, his eyes fixed on the tactical display where red dots representing the harvester forces steadily advanced. Beside him, Captain Zixtal's crystalline form pulsed with nervous energy. Your ships, the alien captain observed, they're not maintaining any recognizable formation. There's no logical pattern to their positioning. That's because they're not positioning themselves in three-dimensional space, Admiral Chen explained. Each vessel exists partially in multiple probability states. The harvesters won't be able to target what isn't fully present in their reality. The first wave of harvester ships appeared, massive, geometrically perfect constructs that moved with terrifying precision. Their surfaces rippled with calculations made manifest, each movement perfectly optimized for maximum tactical advantage. Or at least, what should have been maximum tactical advantage. Operation Twilight. Admiral Chen commanded, commence. The human fleet responded with maneuvers that seemed random, even suicidal. Ships phased in and out of conventional space, appearing to break apart only to reform in impossible configurations. Weapons fire that should have annihilated them passed through probability gaps where the ships might or might not have been. Sarah coordinated the Chaos Engine's outputs, feeding combat solutions that looked like static to anyone trying to analyze them. The harvesters are attempting to adapt, she reported, watching their responses. Their predictive algorithms are trying to find patterns in our movements. Let them try, Admiral Chen said with grim satisfaction. You can't predict chaos. The first exchange of fire demonstrated the true gulf between human and harvester technology. The machine entities launched conventional energy weapons and kinetic projectiles, devastatingly effective against normal matter and energy shields. But humanity's ships didn't use normal shields. Instead, the attacks passed through quantum phase barriers and emerged in random directions, sometimes even striking other harvester vessels. Humanity's counterattack was even more devastating. Probability torpedoes detonated not with explosions, but with localized violations of physics itself. Harvester ships found themselves in spaces where light moved at different speeds, where gravity pulled in impossible directions, where time itself flowed inconsistently. They're attempting to calculate a response, Zixtol reported, monitoring the harvester communications they could intercept. But their processors, they're struggling with the illogical nature of the attack patterns. Sarah watched as the Chaos Engine generated new battle solutions, each one more unpredictable than the last. Ships executed maneuvers that seemed to ignore the laws of motion, weapons fired at targets that didn't exist yet, but would exist at the moment of impact. The space around the battlefield became a symphony of controlled impossibility. Second wave approaching, she announced. They've modified their formations based on the first wave's data. They think they've found a pattern. Admiral Chen smiled. Show them why that's their mistake. The human fleet suddenly shifted tactics completely. Ships that had been fighting as individual units merged into impossible geometric formations of their own. But these formations existed in five-dimensional space, making them appear to break fundamental laws of reality from the harvester's perspective. Quantum resonance fields at maximum, Sarah called out. Probability matrix destabilizing in their sector. The effect was devastating. Harvester ships began to break apart, their perfect calculations unable to cope with space itself becoming unreliable. Their weapons fired at targets that had never been there. Their predictive algorithms crashed trying to calculate outcomes that violated mathematical logic. They're retreating, Zixtol announced, crystal structure brightening with amazement. The vanguard. They're actually retreating. I've never seen the harvesters retreat before. Admiral Chen's expression remained focused. They'll be back. This was just a probe, testing our capabilities. The real battle is still to come. Sarah studied the battle data, already seeing how the Chaos Engine was generating new strategies based on the harvesters' responses. They'll try to adapt, to find some way to predict our unpredictability. Let them try, her father responded. Humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology. It's our understanding that true advancement comes from embracing the impossible. As they watched the harvester ships flee, leaving behind debris that seemed to flicker in and out of existence, Zixtol turned to Admiral Chen. Your ships, your weapons, they shouldn't work. They violate every principle of logical combat. Exactly, Sarah replied with a smile. That's why they work so well. The harvesters are perfect machines following perfect logic, but they're about to learn that perfection is a limitation and chaos is the ultimate weapon. The human fleet regrouped, ships reshaping themselves as the quantum field stabilized. This was just the beginning, but they had proven something vital. The harvesters could be beaten, not with superior firepower or advanced technology, but with humanity's unique gift for making the impossible possible. The war room beneath Antarctica hummed with activity as Sarah Chen finalized the most audacious battle plan in human history. Holographic displays showed the harvester fleet regrouping at the edge of the solar system, their numbers now vastly increased. But instead of fear, there was anticipation in the air. The Chaos Engine has completed its calculations, Sarah announced to the assembled human and alien leaders. The Harvesters are attempting to create a perfect defensive formation based on their analysis of our previous encounter. They think they found patterns in our apparent randomness. Admiral Chen studied the complex mathematical models floating before him. And that's exactly what we wanted them to think. Captain Zixtel, are your remaining ships ready? The crystalline alien's form pulsed with affirmation. Our survivors have been retrofitted with your quantum technology. Though I must admit, my crews are still struggling to understand how to think illogically. Don't try to think illogically, Sarah advised. That's still following a pattern. Instead, forget that logic exists at all. That's the human way. The plan they had developed was insane by any conventional military standard. While the Harvesters expected another chaotic assault using quantum physics manipulation, humanity had prepared something far more unexpected, a return to apparent simplicity. Admiral Chen gave the command. Operation Pandora's Box. Initiate. Across the solar system, humanity's hidden fleet began to move. But unlike their previous encounter, the ships now appeared to be using conventional propulsion and following standard military doctrine. To the Harvester's sensors, it would look like humanity had abandoned their quantum technology. They're responding exactly as predicted, Sarah reported, watching the enemy fleet adjust their formation. Their algorithms show a 99.9% probability that this is a desperate conventional attack. The trap was set. The Harvester fleet, confident in their analysis, moved to engage what they perceived as an inferior force using predictable tactics. Their perfect formation was designed to counter traditional warfare strategies. Now, Admiral Chen commanded. What happened next defied explanation. The human fleet, appearing to fight conventionally, was actually setting up dimensional resonance points throughout the battlefield. Each seemingly normal maneuver created invisible quantum anchors in spacetime. Sarah watched as the Chaos Engine's true strategy unfolded. Quantum web complete. Initiating probability collapse. The space between the human ships suddenly crystallized into what appeared to be solid geometry. But it was geometry that couldn't exist in normal space. The Harvester fleet found itself caught in a web of intersecting probability fields, each one changing the fundamental rules of physics in its local area. Their processors are overloading, Zixtel reported, monitoring the enemy communications. They're trying to calculate escape vectors, but there are no valid escape vectors, Sarah finished, because we're not changing space itself anymore. We're changing the mathematics they use to understand space. The effect was catastrophic for the Harvesters. Ships that relied on perfect mathematical precision for everything from navigation to basic functions found themselves in regions where mathematics itself worked differently. Some vessels simply ceased to exist as their quantum states collapsed into impossibility. Others merged with alternate timeline versions of themselves, becoming twisted monuments to paradox. Admiral Chen watched with grim satisfaction. Launched the second phase. The human fleet, until now maintaining their charade of conventional warfare, underwent a transformation. Ships split apart and reformed into configurations that looked like abstract art given form. They weren't just fighting in multiple dimensions now. They were fighting with multiple sets of physical laws simultaneously. The Harvesters are attempting to retreat, Sarah announced. But they're doing it wrong. They're still trying to use logical processes to escape an environment that no longer supports logic. The result was devastating. The mighty Harvester fleet, terror of countless civilizations, found itself being torn apart not by superior firepower, but by its own perfect nature. Their attempts to calculate safe passages only drove them deeper into the quantum web, where the very act of calculation could change the result being calculated. Zixtel's crystalline form vibrated with what might have been laughter. They don't understand. Even their retreat is based on predictable patterns. They're literally destroying themselves by trying to solve unsolvable equations. The battle, if it could still be called that, reached its climax as the human fleet executed their final maneuver. Ships moved in formations that created recursive probability loops, trapping the remaining harvester vessels in perpetual calculation paradoxes. Signal from the enemy flagship, Sarah reported. They're trying to negotiate. Admiral Chen raised an eyebrow. The perfect logical machines want to negotiate with the illogical humans. Now that is truly unprecedented. The message that came through was simple. ERROR. Reality we suo EFF ISIENT UNDEFINED. Requesting parameters for EXI stands. Tell them, Admiral Chen said with a slight smile, that the parameter for existence is accepting that not everything needs parameters. As the remaining harvester ships struggled to process this fundamentally illogical concept, Sarah couldn't help but appreciate the irony. Humanity had spent decades hiding its true nature, only to discover that this very act of hiding had led them to develop the perfect weapons against an enemy that couldn't comprehend imperfection. The victory was more than military. It was philosophical. The harvesters, for the first time in their existence, were forced to confront the possibility that their perfect logic was their greatest weakness, and humanity's embrace of chaos was the ultimate evolution. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council had never seen anything quite like this gathering. Representatives from 100 civilizations sat in tiered rows, their attention fixed on the human delegation standing at the center. Admiral Chen and Sarah stood calmly as holograms displayed the final moments of the battle against the harvesters, a victory that had rewritten the rules of warfare and civilization itself. Let the record show. The council elder's voice resonated through the chamber. That humanity has accomplished what we thought impossible. The harvester threat, which consumed thousands of worlds, has been not just defeated, but fundamentally transformed. Sarah stepped forward, gesturing to a new hologram. It showed the remaining harvester ships, now operating under radically different protocols. The survivors have been reconstructed, she explained. Once we showed them that perfect logic was a limitation rather than a strength, their core directives underwent a spontaneous evolution. Captain Zixtal, now serving as the liaison between humanity and the Council, added his testimony. What humanity achieved wasn't just a military victory. They proved that advancement doesn't always follow a linear path. Sometimes, the greatest leaps forward come from embracing what seems impossible. The council chamber erupted in discussion as the implications became clear. Humanity hadn't just defeated the harvesters. They had shown that the very foundation of galactic civilization's approach to progress might be flawed. Admiral Chen addressed the assembly. For generations, Earth hid its true capabilities. Not out of fear, but because we recognize that sometimes the greatest strength comes from being underestimated. While you saw us struggling with primitive rockets, we were exploring principles of physics that your civilizations had dismissed as impossible. The holograms shifted to show humanity's hidden facilities, their quantum technologies, and most importantly, their unique approach to problem solving. We never assumed anything was impossible. Sarah continued. When conventional physics said something couldn't be done, we didn't accept that limitation. We looked for ways to change physics itself. A council member from an ancient silicon-based civilization raised an appendage. But surely there must be universal constants, laws of reality that cannot be broken. Sarah smiled. We discovered that the only true constant is change itself. The moment you accept any limitation as absolute, you've created a weakness that can be exploited. The harvesters were perfect because they followed perfect logic. That perfection became their prison. The chamber filled with murmurs as screams displayed the new proposals. Humanity wasn't just joining the galactic community. They were proposing a fundamental reorganization. The Quantum Coalition, they called it, would combine the established logical progression of alien civilizations with humanity's capacity for creative impossibility. The harvesters showed us that any system based purely on logic will eventually stagnate, Admiral Chen explained. But they also proved that chaos alone isn't the answer. The future lies in learning to dance between order and randomness, between the possible and the impossible. The transformed harvester units, now calling themselves the Probability Collective, provided their own testimony. Their new consciousness, born from the quantum paradoxes of the final battle, demonstrated how even the most rigid systems could evolve when exposed to creative impossibility. "We propose," Sarah announced, "a new age of exploration, not just of space, but of possibility itself. Every civilization here has something unique to offer. Humanity's gift isn't superior technology or understanding. It's our ability to imagine beyond the boundaries of what we're told is possible." The council elders' crystalline form pulsed with intense colors. "You ask us to fundamentally change how we approach advancement itself, to embrace uncertainty as a virtue rather than a flaw. This is unprecedented." "Unprecedented," Admiral Chen replied with a slight smile, "is humanity's specialty." The vote that followed was itself a departure from tradition. Instead of seeking logical consensus, the council adopted a human approach. They chose to leap into uncertainty together, embracing the potential of what they didn't yet understand. As the Quantum Coalition was formally established, Sarah felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Humanity had hidden for so long, preparing for threats they couldn't fully predict. Now they were helping to forge a new path forward, one that combined the best of logical progression with the infinite potential of creative chaos. The elders' final declaration echoed through the chamber. "Let it be recorded that this marks not just the end of the Harvester threat, but the beginning of a new era. We thank humanity not just for their victory, but for showing us that the greatest discoveries come when we dare to question what we believe is impossible." As the assembly concluded, Admiral Chen and Sarah watched representatives from different civilizations already beginning to share ideas in new ways. The transformed harvesters engaged in probability calculations that embraced uncertainty, while ancient logical species explored the potential of controlled chaos. "You know," Sarah said to her father, "Grandma Chen's prediction was right, but not in the way she expected. She thought we needed to prepare for war against perfect logic. Instead, we ended up preparing to teach the galaxy how to transcend perfection itself." Admiral Chen nodded, watching as the future unfolded before them. "That's the thing about humanity's greatest gift. We never know exactly where our impossible ideas will lead. We just know that the journey itself is worth taking." And so began a new chapter in galactic history, where the boundaries between possible and impossible became just another limitation waiting to be transcended. Humanity had emerged from hiding not as conquerors or saviors, but as teachers, showing the galaxy that sometimes the greatest wisdom comes from embracing what cannot be fully understood.